Hi guys, and thanks so much for tuning into another Tea Bites with Miss K. So we are on week 3 of week 11, diving into the Define You workbook. And thank you so much for those of you who have reached out to me concerning how you can purchase the workbook. And those of you who are still interested, you can always add your information down here at the bottom. You can reach out to me, you can email me, you can post it on my website, martrisekennedy.com, or you can even post it right here on my page and just tag or put it on your own page, tag me, whatever it is that you have to do, just to reach out to me to let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. In reference to being able to purchase the workbook, I want to make sure that I have the right quantity for anybody who's interested, so I can make sure I fulfill those orders in an efficient time frame. So today we'll actually focus on pages 15. I'll flip-flop between pages 15 and 16, and that subject matter is focused on the words we speak. And what's really important to me is I think it was maybe around during my bachelor degree education that I really realized the power that we have in our mouths. It's such a powerful tool that we use every day and not realizing how capable we are of tearing someone down or building someone up just with the words that we use. And it was throughout my bachelor degree education that I became an advocate for a agency working with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Now, if that is not politically correct, the term right now, that was the last terminology that I knew and I was aware of at the time. So I do apologize for that. And I actually would protest, and I actually have some news clippings of myself protesting on the street for people to stop using the R word, to stop calling people. And we know that, if for those of you who don't know, it was the word, I'm sorry, retarded, which is not an appropriate term to use. It never was. And it was widely used, especially, or imbecile, to identify those who had developmental disabilities, those people who may have been autistic, or those people who may have had a diagnosis of, some other type of intellectual cognitive delay. And it's kind of separated them from anyone else who was considered to be normal. And there's no such thing as normal. There's typical. There's the average. And so that was something that I did that was really important to me. And then once you're an advocate, you really honestly never stop. So I spent a lot of time using my powerful tool to advocate for, like I said, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, but then also to advocate for, let's say, women of color, single mothers, advocating for individuals who have experienced trauma. I've also advocated for human sex trafficking. I've advocated for the end and the ceasing of human sex trafficking. And when these subjects are extremely important to me, I am passionate about it. And when I am passionate about it, it's hard to shut me up about it. And I don't care what the subject matter is that someone else is talking about, I will find a way to fit in whatever the matter is that I'm advocating for in that subject, in that conversation, because it's so important to me, and I use it as an opportunity to educate people at all times. And I kind of fell off from some of those things that I advocated for in the past, and I think that now I've allowed my actions to advocate in a different way, because I'm also educated in a different manner, where I'm around different types of individuals who are in better positions to do things than just talk about it, but to actually put it into action. So through my advocating and being around lobbyists and different trips and things like that, and other individuals that I was exposed to in a boardroom and so forth, and maybe even in Harrisburg, it allowed me to be able to realize that I can say a lot and I can do a lot and I can make things happen with the words that I speak. And with keeping that in mind, it's not just the positive things, but it's also the negative things. So just like there's power in positivity, there's a lot of power, or should I say a lot of energy in negativity. And so I realized that something that I struggled with was a lot of negative language that I use for myself. instead of using positive language. So in order to help me through that process, and sometimes we don't realize how we say things that are so negative. And a really simple example was, and occasionally I might still say it, and it's just by coincidence. Oh, I got my degree. I got my diploma from such and such school. No, I didn't get nothing because they ain't just handed to me. I earned that. So just changing that language makes a difference, and it makes the statement a bit more powerful. Oh yeah, I got my degree from Temple, University. Oh no, I earned my degree from Temple University, because that is exactly what you've done. Give credit where credit is due. Simple things like, oh, I'm going to, I got a job. No, I was awarded this position. I earned this position. You earn things. Things are not just handed to you, but for those things that are handed to you, you call those things a blessing. Oh, I was blessed with this. I was blessed with that. A lot of people might say fortunate enough. No, you weren't. There's no such thing as luck. So you were not fortunate enough to be able to have this. You were blessed with this. So we have to watch how we use our language, because it says so much when we use the wrong terms. One little change in a sentence could, one change of a word can make it completely different. I don't like when you do. If I say that, but you get on my bleeping nerves. Let's just say you get on my bleeping nerves. I don't like when you do this. You get the bleep on my nerves. It makes a big difference. I could have just left it as in, I don't like it when you do this. Big difference between adding that curse word, using profanity, whichever word you want to use. So we have to find a language to replace it before we actually can start getting better at it. Because I can say, all right, well, stop cursing, or I'm going to stop cursing, or I'm going to be more positive instead of negative all the time. I'm not going to say, oh, it's another Monday, I got to go to work. You know what? Today is another opportunity to get things better, to learn something new, to work with a new family. I can say it that way. I'm excited. I might not necessarily be excited that it's Monday, but I can force myself to start to feel that way in order to get better. And again, we can change the energy within our own selves with the language that we use. Just like, oh, it's Monday, I'm gonna have a horrible day. Oh, it's, or even just like at the beginning of the video when I was saying like, oh, I really thought, or that might have been the cut before this when I was talking about how, oh, I thought that, it was Thursday on such and such day on Tuesday, or that's because it was such a rough week. Yes, the week was rough, but you know what? I made it through. God has blessed me to be able to make it through, to persevere, and to still be standing, and I'm still sane. So I need to look at it that way. I need to spend more time focusing on those things. And there's this song that I've been listening to, and I can't recall the name of the song right now. And it's a song that I listen to in my praise and worship. For those of you who don't know, I am a devoted Christian. And I do attend a Bible-believing church. So there's a big difference. And I am a practicing Christian. I am religious, but I'm also spiritual. And so the song talks about the weight of God's glory and how we need so much more of it. We want and we desire so much more of it. We don't just want it for a moment. So he said, like, we don't just want a visitation, but we need like a mighty move. It's a big difference. When you say these words, what it does to your spirit, to your mind, to your soul, it's a big difference than just saying, oh yeah, like I prayed today, oh yeah, we're gonna do some praise and worship. And I know my pastor talked about, during a course of time, he talked about, stop telling people you're going to church. Say you're going to praise and worship, because it makes a difference. Going to church means I'm going to the building, but going to praise and worship means I'm going to do something when I get there. I'm not just going to sit in that seat and be a seat filler. I'm actually going to go and I'm going to worship the Lord. I'm going to engage in everything it is that's going on within that church service today. It makes a difference, because it's true. You're doing so much more. You don't just go to work and work. You're actually doing a very specific task. So, and you're doing that on a regular basis. You're maintaining relationships with people. You're maintaining your paperwork or your computerized paperwork. You're doing a lot of things, and I think that when we use so much negative language, we minimize the progress that we have made and the things that we have done, because we spend so much time focusing on the most strenuous part of it instead of focusing on the happier parts of it. And maybe because sometimes those sadder parts outweigh the happy moments. And I know, like, especially, let's say, for instance, when someone passes away. Now, are we going to sit here and sulk in the fact that they're gone, or are we going to have a celebration of life? There's a difference. Just when you say these things, change your language from stop complaining so much, but spend more time praising and worship and being happy and being excited about different things that are going on. Be happy. You know what? It might be raining today, but I'm grateful that I can feel this rain touch my body. And I remember I was going through something many years ago, and I was extremely negative all the time. And I felt like I was just walking around in all of this darkness. And when I was walking around in this darkness, of course, my language was negative. I was pretty irritable and frustrated with a lot of different things. And so in the midst of doing that, it took a lot of energy. So I was always tired. I wake up tired. I go to bed tired. I'm walking around throughout my day tired because it requires so much more energy to remain negative all the time, every day, in comparison to what it requires in order to be happy. You don't have to force yourself to be happy, but some days we do. But most of the time, if it's true, genuine happiness, you don't have to force yourself on a regular basis to be happy. You can find light in every situation. I might be stuck in traffic, but I'm enjoying this view of being able to look at the sky and the birds circle around and to be able to follow each other. When one moves, the rest of them move. It's just beautiful. I can maybe watch the clouds go by, different things, or look at all the different license plates of all these different people who are in my state today, or being fortunate. I might be stuck behind a car accident, but you know what? By the grace of God, was that not my own vehicle that was in that car accident? And I've been in positions where the car directly in front of me had a really bad accident, and I was fortunate enough to be enough feet behind where it did not damage my vehicle at all. It's how we look at things. People say, oh, don't use the word but because it's so contradictory. I might have to get up and go to work today because today is Monday, but I am employed. I'm going to be grateful for that. So we have to change our language. I don't feel like cooking today, but I have food in my refrigerator. I have options. I have choices. And, I don't feel like getting in this car and driving anywhere. I know every now and again I catch myself saying that, but you know what? I'm grateful to be able to have a functioning vehicle to get me to and from my destinations. You might not feel like doing a lot of things. However, be fortunate that you had these opportunities to do this, because there are some people who wish they were in your position. Be grateful that you are not in the prison, but you're on the other side of the prison. And don't be a prisoner within your own mind because you make things so negative all of the time. There's got to be some sense of joy that you can find somewhere in this world. Even in the midst of all this ugliness and everything it is that's happening, we can use our own mouths to speak happiness and prosperity into another person, and to be able to say something that could just shift and change their day. Some people live in a house where nobody speaks to each other. Well, then you might be that one person who says, good morning, how are you? And I know, like, I have one coworker who, whenever I see her, I usually see her about once a week. I say, hey, girlfriend. Now, I never knew her as my girlfriend before. However, I've allowed myself to be able to become comfortable enough with her, and she actually likes it, where I can say that to her. So even though I might not feel like coming here because I have to go to a few meetings or something like that, I see her and I look forward to that, and I say, hey. And I get excited about that because I know sometimes I might hold all my questions in a whole entire week just to save until I see her, to ask her these questions, because I trust her and I know that she has the answer. And if she doesn't have the answer, she points me in the right direction. So that what did I also do? I use the power of my words, and I didn't just keep that to myself, how much I trust her or how much I appreciate her work. I let her know. I gave her a compliment. And I think that, also we use a lot of negative language in our own culture of color, where we put each other down, especially women. We put each other down and we feel like we can't compliment the other women. Oh, because they're going to think that there's something wrong with me. Like, no, if she look fly today, tell her, like, girl, you look good. I love them shoes, and I know I'm good for doing that. And be secure enough within yourself that you can do that without, feeling like, oh, well, they must think that I am gay. Or, oh, they must think that, I'm jealous, or she thinks that I'm trying to do something to her. No, it's nothing. Like, being confident enough in yourself to be able to give compliments to other people with no ill intentions behind it. But I'm feeling good today. So let me share that, just as much as, like they say, misery loves company. So therefore, if I'm down today, I'm trying to share that with everybody else. Like, people want to shut, no. We're going to shut all that down, and we're going to put a lot more positivity into this world. We treat other people the way, that's the golden rule. You treat other people the way you want to be treated. And the more you get into practice of doing that, it allows you to be a happier person. And then maybe even, and I said this before, people will come back to you with some information that you gave them. People will come back with positive statements about how you helped them. So give credit where credit is due. People do things for us. They make us happy. They might say the simplest, they might have just sent you a text. It might have been the one person that texted you to say Happy Mother's Day. Show that person that you appreciate them. Do what it is that you need to do to replace the language. And that means that we have to find the new words to say. So it's hard to come up off the top of your head to find these words to say. So you have to kind of like have some in reserve. So for instance, if I don't want to use, let's say, the F-bomb, then I'm going to find another word to replace it. I used to say fiddlesticks. Occasionally I might say fiddlesticks now. Or I might say, oh, shucks. Or so, I have so many other words that I can use to replace using, to supplement using any type of profanity. And then I like to share that with other people because it's a skill and it takes time to be able to replace your negativity with positivity. And through pages 15 and through pages 15 and 16, it'll kind of help you break that down, because I actually have a graph on there between your negative language and your positive language. So you can actually identify maybe some statements or just general words that you use often that you can replace with something that's much better, to give credit where credit is due. Boost yourself up. It's not about being conceited. You can still be humble and do these things. And we all need a little bit of positivity. There's no such thing as too much positivity in this world, especially with all the dark and sad things that are going on in this world. Don't let emojis speak for you. Use your words and you talk to people, you communicate with people, and you let them know some positive things or some happy things. And you can put yourself into practice every day by saying, I'm going to send out 3 positive text messages every single day. I'm going to wake up and say something positive to myself every single day when I look in that mirror, because I'm sure you're looking at it or you walk by it. And for those of you who don't, then every time I get inside this car, I'm going to say something positive. Every time I get in the shower, I'm going to say something positive about myself. Every time I get on the bus, I'm going to say something positive. I'm going to be polite to, in spite of what somebody else does, I'm still going to, because I can only control me. I cannot control other people, and I can't force other people to say good morning back. I can't force other people to say have a nice day. And be genuine about it. Be sincere about it, because it does make a difference. People can pretty much read when you're being phony, and they can read when you're being sarcastic. So as always, I would encourage you to do your best to continue to define you. And defining you means you find the words that make you feel most comfortable to supplement those negative statements, so we can reframe them and say something positive instead. We don't have to be so negative. This world is hard enough, it's rough enough on us, so we can just use our positive language to be able to help maybe just change the world or brighten someone's day. Always define you. Always do what it is that you can to be better and to do better, and be inspired. Make a journal of it. Do whatever it is that you need to do to help make yourself become a better person, to find that inner peace and inner balance. And when you do, there is nothing like it, and you will not want to give that up. So you're going to continue to do things that are positive and that are going in the right way, in order to keep that momentum of that happiness and of that positivity. And if you got some different tools, some different things that you tried and that you like, please share with me, because I would love to know. It may be something I could definitely use. And an activity is also say it or swallow it. Think before you speak. Your mouth is very vicious when you use words that are very mean and hurtful. And you can always use that same mouth to apologize. So Just don't get into the habit of always saying you're sorry, because then you become a sorry excuse of a person. And then you're not good, the type of person that could be trusted. However, you can apologize the one time and then stop doing whatever the behavior was in the first place. It makes a big difference. Guys, it's always a pleasure. I can go on all day, but I'm not. So I want you to have an amazing rest of your week. Be positive, stay positive, and stay prayed up. Thanks, guys. Take care.